What if we told you that beneath the glittering skyline of Doha or the high rises of Delhi lies a choking truth no tourist brochure dares mention? In this video, we infiltrate the world's dirtiest cities, peeling back the polished facade to expose the harsh, polluted underbellies where survival means breathing poison every day. In India, where luxury malls sit blocks away from women forced to defecate in the open, the contrast is brutal. You can see the smog, smell the burning waste, and hear the wheezing coughs of children born into this toxic reality. From oil-rich empires to war-torn nations, we uncover how air pollution is not just about dirty skies, it's a silent war on the poor. And the most polluted country? It's not who you think. Stay till the end. Number 15, China. Standing at number 15 is China, the world's second-largest economy and one of its most polluted. Behind the economic miracle of China lies a harsh environmental truth. Nearly 1.85 million premature deaths each year are linked to air pollution. What's driving this toxic legacy? Heavy industry remains the economic backbone. Massive steel plants, cement factories, and coal-fired power stations churn out both GDP and fine dust particles. In northern cities, winter brings not just the cold, but thick layers of smog, worsened by coal-powered heating and meteorological traps like temperature inversions. Cities like Beijing, Xi'an, and Zhengzhou often clock PM 2.5 levels above 100 UGM3 in winter, more than 20 times the safe limit. But China isn't ignoring the crisis. It has shut down thousands of polluting factories, launched massive renewable energy initiatives, and pledged carbon neutrality by 2060. The skies might still be gray, but the winds of change are blowing, slowly but steadily. Number 14, Rwanda. Next, at number 14, Rwanda. Often praised for its greenery and post-genocide transformation, Rwanda's beauty hides a lethal danger in the air. In rural areas, over 90% of people cook using firewood and charcoal, filling homes with invisible death, indoor air pollution. In the capital, Kigali, unfiltered motorcycle emissions and rapid, dense urbanization turn the skyline into a hazy silhouette. The victims? Children under 5, highly vulnerable to pneumonia, asthma, and early death. And the pollution isn't just inside homes anymore. As Rwanda develops, outdoor air pollution is rising fast, without the infrastructure to handle it. Still, Rwanda is trying. From ethanol cook stoves to electric buses and ambitious reforestation projects, the country is planting the seeds for a cleaner tomorrow. But for now, the air remains heavy. Number 13, Qatar. Coming in at number 13, Qatar. 37.6 UGM3, 7.5 x WHO limit. You may know Qatar for the FIFA World Cup, luxury towers, or endless desert wealth, but few know that this nation also ranks among the world's most polluted. The culprit? A 1-2 punch of fossil fuel extraction and mega construction projects. Oil and gas, the lifeline of Qatar's economy, release massive emissions. Add to that the constant construction boom and dense air traffic, and you get dangerously toxic air. Those most affected aren't the billionaires. It's the migrant workers, South Asian laborers building the skyline while inhaling fine dust and toxic fumes. Many suffer from respiratory issues, heat-related illnesses, and limited access to health care. Qatar has made progress. The Al-Kharsa solar plant, green metro systems, and a pledge to cut 25% of emissions by 2030 are steps forward, but the paradox remains. A wealthy nation, gasping for air. Number 12, Indonesia. Ranked 12th, Indonesia. A tropical paradise? Not when it burns. Indonesia suffers from one of the deadliest forms of pollution. Annual forest fires, many set deliberately to clear land for palm oil plantations. The result is a thick, acrid haze that blankets Sumatra and Kalimantan, with smoke drifting all the way to neighboring nations. In Jakarta, one of the world's most polluted capitals, smog often turns day into dusk. 232,000 deaths each year are linked to polluted air and water. The causes: out-of-control urban growth, traffic gridlock, and poorly regulated industrial zones. The government is fighting back, banning new coal plants, aiming for 500,000 EVs by 2030 and targeting net zero by 2050. But deforestation, weak enforcement, and economic pressure make every step forward feel like a compromise. Number 11, United Arab Emirates, UAE. And at number 11 we find the United Arab Emirates. From Dubai's glittering skyline to Abu Dhabi's grand boulevards, the UAE dazzles. But hidden behind its wealth is a dark irony, one of the worst air quality levels in the world. The causes are clear and massive: oil extraction, endless construction, and car culture fueled by cheap fuel and big engines. In cities where walking is rare and shade is scarce, most residents rely on fuel-hungry vehicles, further worsening air pollution. The consequences hit migrant laborers hardest. Those building the dream are the ones choking on its fumes. Respiratory illnesses, heat stroke, and even premature births are all rising, especially among pregnant women exposed to smog daily. Still, the UAE is pushing for change. With the Noor Abu Dhabi solar plant, Masdar City's eco-design, and a net zero goal by 2050, there's hope. But the question remains, can green vision keep pace with gray reality? Number 10, Nepal. Ranked 10th, Nepal. A valley trapped in a cloud of poison. At first glance, Nepal seems like the last place you'd associate with dirty air. Home to the Himalayas and spiritual serenity, it evokes images of crisp mountain breezes. But reality tells a different story. Kathmandu, the country's capital, sits inside a natural bowl-shaped valley where pollution doesn't blow away. It sinks, stagnates, and thickens. In the winter, temperature inversions seal the toxic layer close to the ground, turning the city into a gas chamber. Outdated public transportation, thousands of aging buses and motorcycles, and uncontrolled construction kick up deadly PM2.5 particles. In rural villages and highland areas, families burn wood and trash indoors, filling their homes with smoke. The results? Respiratory infections, heart disease, pregnancy complications, and an alarming rise in asthma among children. Kathmandu consistently ranks among the most polluted cities in Asia. In response, Nepal's government has banned old diesel vehicles from central areas, promoted electric scooters, and encouraged households to switch to clean cooking stoves. Post-earthquake urban renewal projects aim to build smarter, greener cities. But for now, millions still breathe danger every single day. Number 9, Egypt. Next, ranked 9th, Egypt, an ancient civilization, gasping for breath. Beneath the shadow of ancient pyramids and vibrant bazaars, Egypt is choking, quite literally. In Cairo, a sprawling megacity of over 20 million people, the air is filled with soot, smoke, and the scent of burning trash. Key drivers: the burning of waste, widespread use of coal, and a flood of vehicles with poor emission standards. Industrial zones sit dangerously close to residential areas, and green space is vanishing fast, replaced by concrete, roads, and high-rise buildings that block airflow and amplify heat. The result is catastrophic. Over 9,500 premature deaths per year are attributed to air pollution. The economic toll is staggering too. $1.5 billion USD annually in healthcare costs just for Cairo alone. Children suffer most, with high rates of pneumonia, asthma, and stunted lung development. Pregnant women are at increased risk of complications. Egypt has tried to push back. The government is promoting electric vehicles, redesigning urban transport, and planning a new, eco-friendly administrative capital. But deep-rooted problems persist. Fragmented policies, weak enforcement, and urban development plans that often clash with environmental goals. Number 8, Iraq. Coming in at number 8, Iraq, the smog of war and oil. In Iraq, air pollution doesn't come from prosperity. It comes from conflict, collapse, and crude oil. Years of war, political instability, and rampant fossil fuel extraction have made Iraq one of the world's most hazardous places to breathe. The skies are darkened by flaring, the burning of excess gas from oil fields, which releases a cocktail of toxic chemicals. Add to that the natural threat of desert dust storms, and you get a country where the air itself feels weaponized. But there's more. Aging infrastructure, piles of uncollected garbage, and crumbling public services all contribute to a toxic environment. In cities like Baghdad and Basra, entire neighborhoods live with no air quality regulations, surrounded by industrial facilities spewing unchecked emissions. The damage is both immediate and long-term. Iraq sees tens of thousands of pollution-related deaths annually. In areas that were heavily bombed, rates of cancer and birth defects have spiked, possibly linked to toxic residues in the soil and air. While Iraq has launched a plan to plant 5 million trees and started investing in solar energy, the impact is minimal, choked by corruption, political gridlock, and lack of funding. In a country trying to rebuild, clean air is still a luxury. Number 7. Burkina Faso. Ranked 7th, Burkina Faso, dust, poverty, and a silent epidemic. You don't need factories or highways to suffer from air pollution. In Burkina Faso, it's the dust, the wood fires, and the poverty itself that turn the air lethal. In both cities and villages, over 80% of the population cooks using biomass, mainly charcoal and firewood. Combine that with old, smoky vehicles and unpaved roads, and the air becomes thick with dust and fine particles, especially during the dry Saharan winds. The capital city, Ouagadougou, often feels like it's coated in sand. The air is dry, gritty, and smells faintly of ash, and the consequences are deadly. 1 in every 5 deaths in the country is linked to air pollution. Children living near industrial zones or dump sites suffer from chronic coughs, infections, and developmental issues. Some efforts are underway. International aid programs have introduced clean cook stoves, and the government is promoting green transportation in urban areas. But limited budgets and institutional weaknesses mean progress is slow and fragile. Here, pollution isn't just an environmental issue. It's deeply tied to economic inequality and lack of opportunity. Number 6, Tajikistan. Ranked 6th, Tajikistan, the cold trap of the post-Soviet highlands. Tajikistan might not make global headlines often, but its pollution levels speak volumes, ranking 6th most polluted in the world, with PM 2.5 concentrations 10 times the safe limit. The reasons are rooted in poverty, geography, and post-Soviet infrastructure. In the capital, Dushanbe, cars over 20 years old are still common, emitting clouds of black smoke as they sputter down crumbling roads. But the biggest threat comes in winter. When hydroelectric supplies dwindle, millions rely on burning coal for heat, often in densely packed apartment blocks with no proper ventilation. Industrial plants and cement factories pump additional soot into the air, and without modern filtration, it all goes straight into people's lungs. During the cold months, PM 2.5 levels regularly exceed 90 UGM3, turning fog into a toxic soup. Hospitals report spikes in stroke, heart attack, and respiratory distress, particularly among children and the elderly. Tajikistan has partnered with WHO and UNDP to build air monitoring systems and is trying to expand hydropower capacity, but faces constant setbacks, unstable electricity, limited funding, and weak governance. For now, winter doesn't just bring cold, it brings death in the air. Number 5, India. Ranked 5th, India, a subcontinent, smothered by smoke. In India, the air itself can kill you, slowly, invisibly, and inevitably. From the glittering towers of Mumbai to the teeming streets of Delhi, air pollution is woven into daily life. India ranks 5th on our list, but in terms of human impact, it could easily be first. The country records nearly 2 million deaths every year, directly linked to poor air quality. The reasons are complex and deeply rooted. Every winter, vast areas in northern India are blanketed by smoke from crop burning, especially in Punjab and Haryana, where rice husks are set alight after harvest. The result is a suffocating haze that descends on the capital and beyond. Then comes Delhi, often dubbed the gas chamber of South Asia. On bad days, the air quality index, AQI, exceeds 500, the maximum measurable range, forcing schools to shut down and flights to divert. You can smell the acrid air, feel it in your lungs, and see it hanging like a curtain over the skyline. Millions still cook indoors with wood and cow dung, especially in rural areas. Combine that with outdated vehicles, fossil fuel-heavy industries, and urban sprawl, and you get a nation gasping for relief. India has responded with the National Clean Air Program, NCAP, electric mobility initiatives, and bans on crop burning. But enforcement is inconsistent, and the sheer scale of the crisis makes progress painstaking. For millions, every breath is a risk. Number 4, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Next, at number 4, Democratic Republic of the Congo, pollution in the heart of the rainforest. You might not expect one of the world's dirtiest atmospheres to be in the middle of Africa's lush green equator, but that's the cruel irony of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. In rural areas, nearly every household burns firewood or charcoal for cooking. The result? Thick indoor smoke that fills huts and lungs, leading to over 60,000 premature deaths annually. But that's just part of the problem. The DRC is rich in cobalt, gold, and coltan, critical minerals for global tech. The catch? These are mined in sprawling, poorly regulated sites where machinery, dust, and open fires pollute both the air and soil. Children as young as 10 work in these mines, often without masks or ventilation. Deforestation and soil erosion worsen the air further, especially during dry seasons when particles swirl into the sky. Combine all that with poor waste management, burning trash, and non-existent emissions control, and you get a deadly cocktail. There are few regulations, even fewer air monitors, and virtually no enforcement. As the world races toward clean energy, the DRC remains an environmental casualty of that very transition. Number 3, Pakistan. Ranked third, Pakistan, the smoke behind the smiles. In Pakistan, the skies often carry a grayish hue, not from clouds, but from the relentless burn of garbage, coal, and smoggy engines. In Lahore, a city once known for its gardens, the air has become so toxic that residents are urged to stay indoors for weeks. Schools are shut, masks are worn not for pandemics, but for protection from deadly air. The culprits? Crop burning, industrial emissions, and a sea of old vehicles. Compounding this is urban overgrowth without planning, where cities expand faster than any hope of infrastructure control. Air pollution in Pakistan causes over 128,000 deaths per year, and it's getting worse. Women and children are most vulnerable, especially in densely packed lower-income neighborhoods where open fires are still the main way to cook. To their credit, authorities have planted trees, proposed public transit upgrades, and encouraged clean fuel. But implementation is weak, and political will remains inconsistent. As one Lahore resident put it, "We're not breathing air, we're breathing smoke in disguise." Number 2, Bangladesh. At number 2, Bangladesh, the brick kilns of death. Bangladesh is known for its resilience, its rivers, garments, and relentless people. But it's also home to some of the most toxic air on the planet. Why? One word: bricks. Scattered across the landscape are thousands of traditional brick kilns, burning coal and tires to feed the country's housing boom. These kilns spew clouds of black soot and PM 2.5, cloaking villages and cities alike. And unlike factories in wealthier countries, these kilns have no filters, no regulations, and often no accountability. In Dhaka, the capital, the smog is so thick in winter you can barely see across the street. Children suffer from stunted brain development, miscarriages are rising, and life expectancy is dropping. In fact, the average Bangladeshi loses up to 6.8 years of life due to air pollution. Despite efforts to shift to cleaner kiln models, the vast majority remain dirty and outdated. Electric vehicles are rare, public transport is chaotic, and trash is often burned in open pits. When your lungs become the filter, how long can you survive? Number 1, Chad. And finally, at number 1, Chad, the most polluted country on Earth, and the most forgotten. You wouldn't expect it. Chad, a landlocked country in Central Africa, has no industrial megacities, no sprawling highways, no smog-belching factories. And yet, in 2025, it tops the list as the most polluted country in the world. The irony is unbearable. A nation that contributes almost nothing to global emissions is being choked by a crisis it didn't create. In the capital city, N'Djamena, the air is thick with dust, not from machines or engines, but from the Sahara Desert, which sends waves of fine particles sweeping across the streets. The sky carries a dull beige hue, and the air feels heavy, dry, and strangely bitter. Every breath feels like it drags something sharp into your lungs. This is daily life, not a sandstorm, not an anomaly, just normal. But desert dust isn't the only threat. Nearly 90% of households in Chad rely on wood or charcoal for cooking. From dawn until dusk, small fires burn in courtyards, sending black smoke into already polluted neighborhoods. In homes with no chimneys, the smoke lingers, coating walls, lungs, and the insides of children's throats. Indoor air pollution is one of the deadliest killers in the country, especially for infants and pregnant women. We met Fatime, a 29-year-old street vendor and mother of 4. Her youngest child, born prematurely, has been coughing for weeks. The doctor told me it was the smoke, she says. But what else can we use? We can't afford gas. We barely have enough charcoal. Her stall sits near a busy road where battered minibuses idle all day. When the wind comes, we shut the windows, but it's already inside. There is no mystery here. Chad's pollution crisis is the result of poverty, geography, and neglect. It is battered by desert winds, stripped of its forests, and left without even the most basic environmental protections. There is no national air quality monitoring system, no regulations on car emissions, no public campaigns for clean energy. Trash is burned openly. Old engines run unchecked. The only filter is the lungs of its people, and they are paying the price. Experts estimate tens of thousands of deaths annually are linked to air pollution, from lung infections, strokes, heart failure, and chronic respiratory illness. Hospitals are overwhelmed and under-equipped. Rural clinics can't treat asthma. Children cough in their sleep, and no one calls it abnormal anymore. What makes this even more tragic is the injustice at its core. Chad contributes less than 0.03% of global CO2 emissions, yet it ranks first in exposure to air pollution. This is climate colonialism in real time, a global system where the poor suffocate so the rich can breathe cleaner elsewhere. Yes, there are glimmers of hope. A few NGOs are introducing solar cooking systems and reforestation programs. International agencies have begun discussions to fund clean air initiatives. But so far, it's just talk. No national strategy exists. And while other countries debate climate conferences, in Chad, climate change is not an abstract threat. It is the air they breathe. To be ranked number 1 in air pollution is not an achievement. It is a death sentence. And for now, the children of Chad are growing up without ever knowing what clean air feels like. From the megacities of Asia to the remote villages of Central Africa, one truth echoes across borders. The air we breathe is not equal. The 15 countries featured in this documentary face PM 2.5 pollution levels 6 to 18 times higher than what the World Health Organization considers safe. And while the causes vary, industrial growth, geographic traps, poverty, and outdated infrastructure, the outcome is tragically familiar. millions of lives lost prematurely, children robbed of healthy futures, and communities forced to choose between cooking dinner and breathing clean air. Yes, there have been efforts. Renewable energy is on the rise. Green public transport is expanding. Trees are being planted. But for many of these nations, especially low-income countries like Chad, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Burkina Faso, these efforts are still too small, too slow, and woefully underfunded. It's easy to dismiss air pollution as someone else's problem, something that happens far away in dusty places we'll never visit. But the air connects us all. Pollution drifts across oceans. Climate change doesn't recognize borders, and if we don't act collectively, the cost will not be measured in GDP, but in life expectancy, disease, and irreversible loss. So as travelers, as global citizens, we have a choice. We can look away, or we can learn, understand, and advocate. The people in these countries are not just statistics. They are mothers, workers, children, dreamers, fighting for the basic right to breathe. If this documentary helped open your eyes to a side of the world you rarely see, if it made you think, feel, or question, we invite you to leave a comment, share your thoughts, or suggest a place we should explore next. Don't forget to subscribe to NVL Travel Documentary for more in-depth stories that go beyond the tourist trail, where travel meets truth, and where every journey begins with a question worth asking. Thank you for watching and breathing with us.